As gentlemen, we hold ourselves to a higher standard. That's why at Brothers & Bonsco, we work directly with craftsmen and designers around the globe to bring you expertly curated accessories that complement any fraternal lifestyle. From the casual weekender to the formal Freemason, Brothers & Bonsco offers products that suit your weekends by the lake or your nights out at the lodge, while providing a personalized experience to each of our customers. That's what makes us uniquely Brothers & Bonsco. Find us on Instagram or at brothersandbonds.com.
On today's episode, we're sitting down with the Shriners.
You're listening to The First Three Knocks, a Masonic podcast in the District of York, where we discuss topics for the betterment of Masonry. The opinions discussed in this podcast are those of the individual and do not represent the views of Grand Lodge or any other Masonic body. Now, here are your hosts.
Well, good evening, brethren.
Good evening. Hello.
Hello. It's Temple Tuesday in March 2021.
Is it Tuesday again? Is that what the day is today?
It seems to be Tuesday.
I don't even know what day it is anymore.
We are very excited tonight. We have two special guests with us. My name is Worshipful Brother Bert Tellier, past master of the Rising Sun Lodge here in Aurora, Ontario, with
your co-host, Brother Gino Scovio, Junior Warden of the Rising Sun Lodge, also here in Aurora, and our
Steve Sprott, who doesn't have a mic this evening.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So we'll cover for him. Steve Sprott from Zaradatha Lodge in beautiful and historic Uxbridge, Ontario.
There we go.
He's proud of that. We have two very special guests here with us this evening. We have fellow Freemasons and Shriners. First starting with Worshipful Brother Rick Ellery, who is the past master of the Tuscan Lodge number 99 in Newmarket, Ontario, just north of here in Aurora. He is a member of Ramesses Shriners. He is also the past president of the Viking Shriners Club. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you.
Great to see you. And also another special guest here tonight, very worshipful Brother Ted Mcclenny. Ted is the past master of this lodge, the Rising Sun Lodge, number 129 in Aurora, Ontario, 84 and 85, yes. I might add. He's also our lodge historian, so he's a walking encyclopedia about everything in Aurora and this lodge in particular. He is also a member of Ramesses Shriners, and he was appointed Shrine Temple soloist. Welcome, Ted. I got through all that, huh? Not bad. So welcome, guys. It's great to have you here tonight to not only talk about Freemasonry, but more importantly, the Shriners as a topic we've been wanting to cover on the show for a while, and can't think of two better individuals to help us do that than you two.
Here.
Thank you for having us. We're pleased to be
Our
here.
pleasure.
Awesome. Maybe just starting to kick things off a little bit here, let's start with how you got involved with Freemasonry and more importantly, the shrine itself. Rick, how about yourself?
Freemasonry was something that was in our family years back, and when I was a young lad, I'd see my uncle getting dressed up in his dark blue regalia and his white gloves, and he would not say where he was going or what he was doing. And around the age of 17 or 18, I asked him, Uncle John, where are you going? Like, what's this all about? I've heard the words Masons, and I said, what's it all about? And he basically said, don't bother me now, I'll talk to you about it some other time. Well, some other time never happened until I retired, about 60 years later. And I had always wanted to be a Mason because I had read a lot about Masons who were quite famous at the time. Guys that I grew up who were actually my childhood heroes, John Wayne, Audie Murphy, the list goes on and on. And I kind of looked at it, these men were my heroes, so why wouldn't I want to belong to that kind of an organization? And so I joined, when I retired, I joined at Tuscan Lodge, and I'm now involved in 5 concordant bodies.
Wow.
And I enjoy all of them. But what I enjoy most is the people I associate with, the brethren that I have. we all have the same values, trust and honor, ethics, integrity, all those things that I hold near and dear. Those are the things that I've taught my sons, and hopefully they will one day join a lodge somewhere. So that's how I got involved, and happy to do so.
Wonderful. Excellent story. Ted, how about yourself? How did you stumble upon Freemasonry?
Oh, I didn't really stumble upon it, but first of all, I've been a Mason for 63 years now.
Oh, wow.
I joined back in 1958. Insofar as who may have inspired me, there are a number of people who I can say did that. First of all, I attended high school here in Aurora. My high school principal was a gentleman by the name of J.H. Knowles. And the vice principal was a fellow by the name of Norman F. Johnson. Both those gentlemen I came to find out that were members of the Masonic Lodge. I held both those chaps in high esteem through my schooling. J.H. Knowles was my geometry teacher. Norman Johnson was my chemistry teacher. We got along so well, and I followed them along quite well by my involvement with school activities and the church, both of them. And along with that, first cousin of mine was also a Mason. His name was Harold Foote. And Harold and I became very close friends. He was my first cousin. We became very, very close friends, and he inspired me as well. So with those examples, good examples, I became interested in in joining the Masonic Order. I can remember J.H. Knowles and Norm Johnson coming to my humble home here in Aurora to interview me, and my parents, because I was single at the time. And I joined, and one of the interesting questions they asked me was, well, why did you want to join the Masonic Lodge? And the only answer I came up with at that time, I can remember it as if it was yesterday. Well, it was good enough for King George VI, it's good enough for me.
Seems like good company.
I chuckle about that so many times over the years with that answer, but that's the way it was. Anyway, I did become very, very involved, and I joined in February of 1958. Throughout the years, of course, I have held various offices in Rising Sun Lodge, and I eventually became Master of the Lodge in 1984, and again in 1985, because the person who was supposed to step into the chair wasn't going to do so, so I had 2 years in succession.
You were so good they
Kept you twice.
in a row.
Yeah. And I've enjoyed every minute. There's just so many good friends I've made through the lodge, great friends, and I just love it.
Fantastic.
I really do. I've carried on for all those years. I'm currently the lodge historian. I've been instrumental in getting some publications and history written about the lodge over the years, and I've enjoyed doing that and doing the research doing that as well. I've also went on and I joined the Royal Arch Masons, and again another one I joined was the Scottish Rite Valley of Barry. I'm also a Shriner now, and have been a Shriner since 1980.
Wow.
Joined the Shrine in 1980. I'm currently a director of the Viking Shrine Club.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Wow, you're both very busy gentlemen, that's for sure. Rick, you had mentioned you were also part of 5 concordant bodies. What other
Yes,
activities?
I also joined the Royal Arch, and from there went into the Templars as well. Also joined Scottish Rite, and of course the Viking Shrine Club, and more particularly, I really enjoyed my time with you in the Wardens Association. That was really grassroots, and it was really a lot of fun, and we did a lot of good things. So I really enjoyed that. it's been a great ride. You know, with all those different associations, you meet different people. You get a real good cross section of the brethren, and it's all very positive. I've yet to run across anything negative anywhere. So I say that in all sincerity. It's a wonderful experience, and we need to get that message out to other young people. And I mean by that, we should be, contacting colleges, community colleges or universities, and let them know that you might have a fraternal organization set up within your college or university, but if that's not something that you can take as a portable thing across country, if you move or relocate, guess what? The Masons are. There'll always be a Masons group somewhere that you're going. And I think that would mean a lot to those young people. They need to have that, I think. We have to let them know that it's there and what it can do for them or how they might fit in. And I think we'll do each other a good service by doing that.
Excellent. All right. Let's change gears a little bit and talk about the shrine. Obviously, you both are involved with it, and it seems deeply involved with it as well. This past year through this pandemic has been challenging for so many organizations. How has it affected Shriners and the work that you guys do?
Actually, the Shriners themselves are doing well on the international aspect, and as is Remeses, because they are now televising their activities and what their needs are, and their promotional advertisements are going very, very well. Closer to home with the Viking Shrine Club, as with a lot of Masonic lodges, there hasn't been a lot going on because we're a little bit more concerned about the day-to-day safety of our family and friends, and meetings were all curtailed. But it reached a point, I guess, after about 6 months of that we found a need to try and communicate through social media, and then getting Zoom meetings going. And what a boom that's been for all of us, because now we could Zoom ourselves into 14 meetings a week if we wanted to. It's gotten that busy.
Yeah.
The problem there is that we really weren't moving that way within the shrine until Ted, myself, and one or two other Shriners said, look, we've got to get this moving. And we've had our first Zoom meeting about 2 weeks ago. Great. And we're having another one mid-April.
Excellent.
And so we are moving forward in that, but we're a little late in the game. And I have high expectations for it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So maybe for our audience who may just be learning about Freemasonry and more importantly the shrine, what is the shrine and what does it stand for? What can people expect from the shrine?
The shrine is a philanthropy, and in this philanthropy, which was started back in the 1800s in New York City by a couple of very prominent people, and it's grown ever since. It's now worldwide, and there are temples, if I can use that term, there are temples now springing up in other countries besides the United States. There's Panama, there's Mexico City, and now temples in Philippines and in Germany and
Brazil.
So it is spreading. It is spreading. The whole point of the shrine is to simply support the shrine hospitals, of which there are 22 of them. In Canada, we have one, and it's located in Montreal, but all of Canada, all the Shriners across Canada support that hospital with fundraising in various ways. And they've just recently closed up the original hospital in Montreal and built a brand new one, and it is state-of-the-art. Wow. So our principal focus for all the Shriners across Canada and North America and wherever we are is to simply raise funds to support those hospitals. The hospitals themselves take children under the age of 18 who are in need of prostheses, Maybe somebody's lost an arm, lost a leg, cleft lip and palate, that sort of things, and major burns.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kinds of things our hospitals do. And it's our mission to support those hospitals and find fundraising projects to get the money to come in to do that.
I understand as well that the hospitals are fully funded. There's not other money coming in aside from the shrine. Is that correct?
That's right, yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, yes.
That's incredible.
And the Shriners, I understand now, I've just recently found out a little bit about this. The Shriners have great land holdings in both the United States and in Canada that nobody hears too much about it. But those holdings do generate income too to help the hospitals.
No, there's some forward thinking there as well.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
great. Excellent.
I like the whole idea about, again, how the Shriners help support, kids in need and whatnot. You just mentioned a few types that you guys would help, but ultimately it also means to them and their families that service is taken care of completely, 100%. If you got to fly in the family or even house them until their little ones are better, you guys, again, it's not just the patient, it's the whole family. And it's almost like
I can give you a classic example of that, which happened a few years back. The Shriners came to know and hear about a young child in Moscow who was very severely burned. The Shriners here in North America, in the United States, got to hear about it. And one of the Shriners, who was well-to-do, owned his own jet. He flew the jet from the United States to Moscow, picked up the child and the father, flew the child from Moscow up across the North Pole, landed in Anchorage to refuel, and went on from Anchorage to Texas, Galveston, Texas, where the hospital down there specializes in burns. They did that at no cost to that family. And that child was looked after, and a great example. Now there are hundreds of other kinds of examples, but
Sure.
that was one that stands out, sort of thing.
Yeah.
One that was closer to home, if I may, was a young girl that we saw at one of the shrine events. When I say young, I'm going to say 5 years old. And she was with her brother, and they were running all over the room. The brother was maybe 7. And the young girl was decked out in a cute little dress and the little shoes that sparkled as she ran across the place, and she was just a ball of energy. Little did we know that her parents were the ones that were going to be give the presentation that night. And the father was there to thank the Shriners for what they had done for his daughter. Turns out that through something, a missing gene in her body, she had a brittle bone disease. Mm-hmm. And after her birth, they found out that her legs weren't growing. So she reached a point, I guess it was around 2, they had to basically cut her legs and insert what would be like a shock absorber in both legs. Wow. So that as she grew, these things would extend, and then she'd reach a certain point in her age where they would have to take them out and put in bigger ones.
Wow. That is tough.
I would have never thought that this was possible, the way I saw that little girl running all over the place, that she was the patient.
Wow.
And it was amazing. And this was a young family. I believe they were from down around the Burlington area. And I was absolutely amazed. It just gets you right in the heart.
Oh, it must. I mean, it must be motivation for you to be involved with the shrine.
Absolutely.
One situation that really got to me was, and I may have told you about this, but we had our tent set up at the street sale.
I always share
And
this
there's a
story
young
as well.
lad when came into the tent, and we were there with our fez on and so on. Young lad come in and he said, "I want to thank you." I said, "Oh, thank you very much. What for?" Well, he says, I was a patient at the Shriners Hospital in Montreal, and you guys helped me out, and I want to thank you very much.
What a good feeling.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, that's a story I share almost all the time with anybody who asks about what's the benefit of doing the street sale here in Aurora and being part of an organization that's in the community and showing them that we're present. And at that time, we were just a Freemason tent. You always come to volunteer, put your fez on, and man, that story moved me. And I wasn't even there. I was told about it after.
Yeah.
But Suffice it to say, the next year the Shriners had their own tent. 2 tents
Oh,
over,
yeah.
and we kind of have always been paired up
Neighbors.
since.
Yeah,
So
we had new
That's right.
neighbors.
it was I guess a good blessing, a good story to share, and it certainly motivated you guys to be there and to join us and to be a little bit more present, which I think is one of the reasons why we're here too, right? I mean, you guys talked about trying to grow your organization and whatnot, and a lot of the times, unless we see you guys in Christmas parades and the funny little motorcycles or little cars or the big cabooses, or you guys have a really cool Viking ship that goes through the Newmarket Santa parade.
Well, this is what it's all about.
Yeah, like how do you guys seem to have a lot of fun? And if I wanted to kind of join, and how would I be? How could I go about becoming a Shriner if I was just a guy at the side of a Santa Claus parade?
Your signature right here would be just fine.
It's already pre-signed, Gino.
And it's
Good news.
important, that's an important point you bring up there. It's how do I become a Shriner?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, all Shriners are Masons.
Okay.
All Shriners are Master Masons. You cannot be a Shriner unless you are a Master Mason. That's number one. Now that's a little different because a few years ago, when I was getting started in this business, if you want to call it that, you couldn't become a Shriner unless you had your 32nd degree in the Scottish Rite.
Oh.
But things changed. Maybe membership was getting a little bit low. So now they opened it up. So as long as you're a Master Mason, proven, you can become a Shriner. That's how it works now.
Right.
And we can invite you to become a Shriner. We can ask you to become a Shriner, sort of thing.
Oh, so
Not
you have
like
a
the
special
lodge where you
tool
can't
compared
solicit.
to Freemasons, huh?
Well, there is a bit of motivation in another area, and that is that in your typical lodge, there's the chairs that you would go through, and there's a lot of ritual work that's done, and it's a very set format. The shrine is not. There is no degree work. There is no memory work. It's a social club in essence. Now, we do have a business portion that we conduct, but it's very simple. It's very easy to go through. So if there are Masons that are reluctant to go out to lodge because of all of the formality and all the degree work and what have you, the shrine is another way to go. It keeps them involved. It keeps that spirit, alive amongst them
Sure.
in terms of being part of the fraternity, because it is more social. But there is a target. There is a goal, and that is we raise funds. We are the philanthropic part of Masonry, and the hospital is our main goal, to support the Children's Hospital. We also want to support other things in the community. So we also do donate to the local hospital. We might support someone that needs some kind of support that we're aware of. We had one of our nobles found out that someone wanted to get rid of some wheelchairs. I think they had 3 or 4 they wanted to get rid of. And he checked with a hospital in Montreal and asked them if they could use the wheelchairs. And they said, we're always looking for wheelchairs. Oh, yeah. He got the wheelchairs, put them in the back of his truck, and drove them to Montreal.
Wow.
And then drove home.
Wow.
That's
a high level
commitment.
of care. Yeah.
That's commitment.
Absolutely.
There are all kinds of stories like that, that we are involved with the communities. We want to put ourselves out there. So we're here.
Yeah.
And the other thing, too, I think is important to talk about, and that is the cost to belong to the shrine. It's not as expensive as people think. First of all, you join the temple, and you have to pay to join the temple. That's a one-time thing. Okay, just like the Scottish Rite, you pay your dues once you're a life member. As long as you join the temple to start with. Then once you join the temple, then you're allowed to and expected to join a club within that temple. The club dues for not rising, but for the Viking Shrine Club now are $60 a year.
Oh wow!
Now, Masonic lodges are somewhere charging around $400 and $500 a year. Ours is $60. You do have to pay more when you join the temple, but like I say, that's a one-time thing. So it's not something that is exorbitant and beyond the average person's reach to join.
Right. What is the involvement for new members? Like, what does that look like? How often are they involved in meetings? What is the expectation for a
Well,
Shriner?
the membership, at least as far as meetings are concerned, once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah, and it's a dinner meeting, as Rick points out. It's a dinner meeting once a month. We meet here at the Royal Canadian Legion here in Aurora, and we have for 40 years. And you pay for your dinner, of course, but it's a once a month thing. There are parades that we take part in, and you're expected to attend and go along with the guys in the parade, whether it's a boat or a train or whatever it happens to be. So we are expected to be involved and to put the message out there for the shrine.
We also do fundraisers during the course of the year, and they might be a euchre night, a party where you bring in members and you pay a nominal fee, and there'll be some prizes, and we'll make some money out of that goes towards the hospital. We also have our annual Christmas cake and cookie sales.
Yep.
We do that. You sell cakes maybe for $15, and out of that, a certain portion goes to the hospital. This year we ran a Fezzy Bear promotion. It was a large Fezzy Bear, the 4-foot one, and we had two of the smaller 18-inch bears that have the Masonic regalia on it, the fez and this kind of thing. And we sold tickets, and we raised about $2,200 for the hospital.
Good job.
It takes a bit of work.
Yeah.
But anything that's worth doing is going to be a value, and it gets you where you have to go. So there are other things that we're looking at doing. Maybe we'll get involved in maple syrup or maybe a car show, things of that nature. We also tried to run a car rally, and we will resume those efforts once this COVID thing is behind us. Certainly, it has put a wrinkle in a lot of the things of all our lives. So we are looking for other fundraisers, yeah.
At the temple level, the social events are ongoing throughout the year. We have our annual Potentates Ball, which is a black tie affair and big affair. And in the fall, there's the what do you call
Fall
it?
Festival?
The fall,
Or
well,
ceremonial.
The ceremonial, fall
Ceremonial.
ceremonial. And in the spring, we have a spring ceremonial. This year it's up in North Bay, and hotels are booked by the Shriners. We have big parades and all sorts of. That's where a lot of the new members join in the spring ceremonial. And they go up there and they go through all sorts of fun things.
You can't reveal those, huh?
Yeah.
I don't want to give it away, but I heard that it's like a full day event, right? Like you guys do a
it is.
breakfast
Yeah.
and have a whole bunch of great things that
Oh,
are
it
part
is.
of that initiation.
It's
for
a
that
whole
candidate.
weekend.
You do a parade.
Yeah.
And you, again, like my understanding of this concordant body of Freemasonry is that you guys are like the fun group, right?
We're the fun guys.
You focus on a lot of community
Yeah.
initiatives. You have the hospitals that's your, I guess, your collective work towards. You are very public. One of the only part of fraternity, one of the only fraternal organizations that is actually on TV. Correct. I mean, we've had presidents like Jimmy Carter that seem to have been the public face, although no one can really confirm nor deny that he's a Mason or not a Mason. I think, that's just amazing that, again, you're so out there, and here we are supposed to be somewhat of and I'm doing the air quotes, the secret society, right?
Well, U.S. presidents that were Masons were Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And also
Ford.
Gerald Ford.
And
the other one.
Washington, George Washington.
No, he was a Mason. There were a lot of Masons, but
not a
Shriners.
Shriner. Gotcha. I was going to say, do you have a list of them?
Harry Truman was
All right.
as a president was a Shriner.
Yeah.
And we had one Prime Minister of Canada who was a Shriner.
Who's that?
And that was John Diefenbaker.
Oh, wow. Wow. So there you go. Like, again, a lot of really good world-renowned people and very, high up political or very,
I
household
think Audie
names.
Murphy was a Shriner.
Audie Murphy was a Shriner. He was the most decorated a warrior in World War II. The list goes on and on. I mean, the founder of Wendy's, Dave Thomas, was a Shriner.
That I knew.
Harlan Sanders of KFC, Arnold Palmer, Buzz Aldrin, Johnny Cash we talked about
There you
earlier,
go.
Ernest Borgnine, Chris Christopherson, Glenn Ford, a Canadian boy, Will Rogers, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, Cecil B. DeMille, Nat King Cole, Red Skelton, one of my all-time favorites, got a lot of humor, Charles Mayo, who runs the Mayo Clinics, and a number of country and western entertainers, Roy Acuff, Mel Tellis, Buck Jones, Arthur Godfrey, for those who have got a good memory, Foster Brooks, Danny Thomas, who was also involved in the other St. Jude's Hospital.
Yes, in St. Jude's.
So he did double duty in that respect.
Want to point out a very important guy, Rick Ellery.
More recently, Rick Ellery.
Okay, I'll cool my jets. I'm just thrilled to be involved in an organization that these people were involved in, because if they made a difference, then I would like to duplicate that, make a difference.
Good company.
Very good company, and it's really interesting. The Shrine has dedicated the charitable aspect to one cause.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, has it always been the case of supporting the
Hospitals.
Shrine Hospitals?
Yes.
Is that the case?
That's the primary focus, but in recent days we realized that in order to have our communities help us in our job, we have to do more for our communities. So to this point, I guess about 4 years ago, we started to look at our communities and say, what can we do? So we started getting involved in the street festival. We started trying to get other venues going, supporting hospitals. So we supported South Lake and Markham Hospital. We got involved in doing parades in other outlying areas. You know, we were doing parades in Sharon, we were doing them in Stouffville, Uxbridge. Uxbridge gets really cold in the wintertime.
Yeah, that's way out there.
And the wind blows right down that street from west to east.
It's all that flat land out in Durham.
Yeah.
And every road goes uphill, you know. So we have spread ourselves around in that respect, doing the Potato Festival in Alliston and doing the Carrot Festival in Bradford.
Christmas parades.
Christmas parades, you know, and so yes, we do extend ourselves, and we're looking for other things to do within our communities to bring us more into the social view, if you will,
Yep.
and promote our issues.
You may recall the hockey team in Saskatchewan. They were in their bus on the way home from the game.
Broncos.
Got
Humboldt.
hit by a transport truck. Several of them were killed. One of the lads, hockey players that survived that, the Shriners in Alberta picked him up and looked after him because he was in the age group where we could do that. And they actually sent him from Saskatchewan all the way to the east coast of the United States to the hospital that was specialized in the needs that he had taken care of and looked after him.
Wow. It's kind of stories you don't get to hear very often, is it? Like it doesn't always seem to make the news, but
we need to do that.
yeah.
We need to get that message out there.
Yeah.
You know, we really do.
Let me ask
And
this
that's
question.
why we're here tonight, to ask you guys, and I'm sure you'll help us get that message out there, both to the Masonic lodges and the Master Masons, but as well as to the community.
Yeah.
We have to get it out there. We can't sit back and expect people to know. No, you can't do that. We have to get it out, and we have to do it.
With regards to patients that the Shriner help, or kids and families that they help, is it often a case you hear about, and then the Shriners investigate and look in and see how can we help, or does that family also know? Some families might know of the Shriners that could be an organization to help with what their medical needs might be, and then
Probably
come
a
and
little
approach
bit
you?
of
Is it a
both.
bit of both?
Probably a little bit of both, but I'm quite certain that we're not known as well as we should be known,
right.
or people don't know how to contact us, and that's the message we want to get out there. Yes, we want to get members to help support our hospital, but our hospitals also need patients.
Right.
I'm not saying that they're out looking for them, because they tend to find them, because there are always going to be people in need.
Yep.
Unfortunately, good news doesn't sell newspapers. It's bad news that sells newspapers. Unfortunately, when we're talking about health and children, it's people don't react when they should react, or they don't go far enough with it. I'm sure there are patients out there, and I'm sure we can do a lot more for them.
We have the one hospital in Canada, and it's located in Montreal. So you might wonder, well, what happens to a child in British Columbia, for instance? Does he go to the hospital in Montreal? Not likely. What will likely happen in that case, a young lad might be shipped to a hospital in Washington State, just across the border. There's all sorts of hospitals just across the border, and they would be taken and from BC or Alberta or wherever into the hospital on the other side of the border, and again, at no expense.
Right. So if there's families out there or folks who are in need of help, how would they go about contacting the Shriners? Like, what is the way that they would do that?
Contact the local shrine club
Okay.
and contact the secretary of the local shrine club, and they would take it from there. Each club has an ambassador, and the ambassador is the contact between the club and the hospitals.
Got it.
Understood.
And if they can't find a shrine club, then they should be talking to the Masons.
Yes.
Right.
And the Masons can direct them, because the Masons know what we're here about.
And the Masons should know.
They might know a couple of Shriners, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I have another question here. Let's talk about the Fez.
All right.
What is the significance of the Fez?
Well, as you can see, there's one sitting right up there. And at one time, originally, the shrine was not known as Shrine International. It was originally known as Ancient Arabic Order Knights of the Mystic Shrine. That was the original
mouthful,
name
huh?
I was gonna say, that's a
of
big
Shrine
title, right?
International.
And one of the founders, which was a chap by the name of William J. Florence, that was his stage name. He was an actor. And this goes back into in the 1800s. He was traveling through Europe, and he was invited to a ball somewhere in France, I'm assuming Paris. And when he went there, they had a theme, and it was of the ancient area of what you call the Alibaba and the 40 Thieves type of theme. And he thought, this is really cool if we could bring this back to the United States and use this as our theme for this shrine group that we're trying to form.
Oh, cool.
So that's where it came from. And the fez was, of course, worn in areas like Morocco and in that area. So the fez became one of their trademark symbols.
That is our symbol.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
And it carries on to this day. So that's what the fez is all about.
Is there a ceremony to receive the Fez? Like, do you have to pass through any kind of
When
rite?
you join
or-
the shrine, and when you're initiated in the shrine at the spring ceremonial, you will be fezzed.
Fez?
Now, we have some secrets too, you see, so
You
we
must.
can't give it
You're
all away.
Masons. You must.
Be no fun, would there? if we gave it away.
You know, we have questions that we ask, what's the difference between a one hump and a two hump camel? You know what I mean?
If you become involved at a club, for instance, and if you happen to get involved with the executive or whatever, and at that meeting where the executive are installed, usually your wife is invited to come, and she will fez you.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well,
And I heard it ends with a kiss. And one of the stories I was told was our own Scott Ewan and Les.
Yeah.
Yes.
Les brought Scott up, and I guess Scott was being initiated into the shrine, and Les looked at him and said, "I ain't kissing you."
I am not fezzing
So
you.
again, like, you guys have a lot of fun, every story I've heard of, your meetings or everything else, it's always been about having a good social time, but having a good, solid focus to your charity and your charity work. So, again,
raise money, support the hospitals, and have fun doing it.
Fantastic. For our audience, then, if Master Masons out there who locally or globally would like to get involved, just reach out to the local Shriners Club.
Yeah, or Rick or I, anyone they know to be a Shriner, they can put you in the right direction.
Yep, and we've also committed here, at least in the York District, to help you guys out and to spread your word to the District Masons and here in Ontario. So we'll be working with you guys to help.
Thank you for that. We very much appreciate it. Yes,
very
indeed.
much.
Well, on that note, I have a quick sponsor shout out before we end this particular show. This brother hails from Brooklyn, New York. And he, again, we did a little producer lapel pin sponsor. It was to raise some funds for the First Renox to get the equipment to give the best show we possibly could to all our audience. So this brother, as I said, hails from Brooklyn, New York. Brother Rene Perez, we thank you very much. Brother Perez hails from George Washington Lodge number 285.
Thank you, brother.
We thank you for that. And to all our other friends out there in, podcast land, travel safe.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the First Three Knocks. Happy to meet, sorry to part, happy to meet again.